A Pierce County deputy who flew into a deadly domestic violence rage. It turns out Deputy Alan Myron was actively pushing for tougher domestic violence prevention programs and asking for help from the father of Crystal Brame. KOMO 4's Keith Eldridge has the exclusive story tonight from Tacoma. Keith?
Yeah, Crystal's father, Lane Judson, tells me he doesn't know what to make of this. To have a deputy who was actively pushing for tougher domestic violence prevention who then turns around because becomes a domestic violence perpetrator.
To have happen what happened, I just...
Lane Judson has become a prominent advocate for domestic violence prevention after his daughter Crystal was killed by her husband, Tacoma Police Chief David Brame, who then killed himself. It's a case that's strikingly similar to the recent case of where Deputy Alan Myron killed his wife's parents and then killed himself over a failing marriage. But Judson says more than a year before that fatal day, Myron actually reached out to him.
My interest is not only personal but professional. I am a member of law enforcement. I am personally appalled by the lack of integrity that is shown to this topic.
They met 6 times through the spring and summer of 2009. Myron shared his ideas of how the first responding officers to a domestic violence call need to be more vigilant in their handling of the case.
It would save victims of future suffering and, in fact, reduce the number of victims significantly.
Myron's email goes on to claim his superiors weren't taking him seriously, so that's why he reached out to Judson, who started using some of Myron's domestic violence prevention ideas in the speeches that he gives around the country. In fact, he was returning from one of those out-of-state speeches when he heard what Myron did to his family. He wants to share these letters with investigators, but he says no one has contacted him.
I'm just surprised that somebody hasn't come to look at this stuff or figure out why he was talking about domestic violence, and then he turns around and commits it. The worst act in his, it's terrible to do a murder-suicide.
Yeah, now the Pierce County Sheriff's Office says it didn't make any contact because it is Tacoma Police Department's investigation. I talked to the police. They said they thought they had gotten in touch with Lane Judson, but they said if that hasn't happened yet, they did it today. They called him right after we did our interview, set up a time to set and get these documents to see if any of these documents and emails can shed any light into what happened with this awful tragedy. We're live in Tacoma, Keith Eldridge, KOMO 4 News.
Thank you, Keith, for that.